welcome to the channel. This is Steve with Black Fly. Hope everybody's doing awesome. If you guys watched my last fly fishing video, I went Euro nymphing and caught I think like 8 fish in less than 2 hours. All on a rust brown fly, just a prototype that I've been playing around with. I think it does a really good job of representing, I'd say like a March brown or just a Mayfly nymph. It's slim, it gets down fast. But anyways, we're starting with the Hannock 450 BL jigged hook. We've got a 3.2 millimeter tungsten bead. We're gonna want this bead to ride high so that this fly will invert. And so I'm just going to start the thread. And as I've showed you guys before, if you hold your thread up at an angle like this, your tag end, you'll get nice even touching wraps. And I'm not going to go to the bend, just to the bend. And right at this point, I'm not too worried about securing that bead because we'll have enough material on it that we can get it to secure here in a minute. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I've got some pheasant tail, and this is what I call the furnace tips. I like the way these feathers go from black to white to that rusty orange, and that's what I use for the 3 tails. 3 little fibers here. Okay, so normally I would tie these on the whole entire hook shank, but because I want that black, I want that white, that transition from the black to the white to the rust orange, I'm gonna pull the tail fibers back. And if I don't get a lot of the black, I can always take a marker and add a little bit of black. We're just going to tie these tails in on the top, like so. And then what I like to do is take one wrap under, just kind of shoots them up, and then I'll even separate them. I'll start with this. With the one, sorry guys, that was my son. The one on the right, I'll skip the middle, and then we'll go to the one on the left. And then we'll just go back under one more time. Sorry guys, it's hard for me to. And that splits those tails in 3. We're going to trim that off here in a minute. Let me go ahead and bring my thread forward. I'll go ahead and trim these tails. I like to trim them about the length of the hook shank. It's still a little too long. Okay, so next I'm going to tie in some black Brassy Wire. Everybody should have a junk pair of scissors I use for cutting my wire. And I'm just going to seat this wire in the bead on the side of the hook, so that way it has that nice slender profile. If you put the wire on the top or on the top or the bottom of the hook shank, see, we got a bump on the side, but the fish ain't gonna see that. The fish are looking at the fly this way, so it gives it that nice slender profile. And that's why I tie it on the side. That's just something I've learned. And guys, I want to stress something. By no means am I like a good fly tyer. I'm a beginner. I'm just learning. I'm experimenting and I'm having fun. And it's just, It's a lot of stress relief, and it's awesome when you catch fish on flies that you've tied. So if you guys haven't tried it, give it a try, man. It's just a lot of fun. So what we're gonna do now is build up a tiny little taper. Wrap back a little less. And just a little more to get that bead to seat. One more back and up. Yeah, that's a good looking taper. Okay. It's really hard to tie in front of this camera. I'm just gonna give it an overhand, a swing, like cradle around. Okay, so now we're just gonna wrap our wire, and I like to use the rotary on my vise for this. I like to do 2 little touching wraps on the back, and then I'm just gonna start to work the thread forward to rivet. Okay. And I like to wrap my thread around the wire and then go over it in front of it. And give it a couple more wraps just to secure it. And that should be good. And then we'll just spin it off. Or as the pros say, helicopter, like we're in Vietnam. Okay, so at this point, I'll take some loom. This is just the UV fluorescein clear, but you just want to give the body a nice, not a gloppy coat, just a thin coat. Try not to get it on your tail. And what I'll do is I'll just take my fingers and I'll pinch it just to get off all the excess. It kind of gives it that ribbed look. Then we will take the UV flashlight and we're going to cure it. I like to give it a good long cure, and when I'm done tying, what I'll do is I'll set the flies in the window and really let that sun cure them. Okay, so next we're going to take some peacock dubbing. This is a real fine dubbing, and I'm going to take a little bit of this orange right here. I like to use my whip finishing tool and just reach in there and grab just a few fibers, just a tiny bit. One thing I've learned is less is more. Thank you, Mr. Lance Egan and Holy's Flies and all the tires out there that have helped me learn. But I want just a little pinch of that. Just gonna make a tiny little dubbing noodle. 1 or 2 wraps. We're gonna add another dubbing, so I don't want this too thick. I can clean that up in a minute, but that's all you want. Just a tiny little spot. Next, I'm gonna take some angel hair. In this is like a gray, kind of a BWO done gray with a little bit of gold flash. We're just gonna take just a couple fibers of that. Okay, so you can see I just pulled just a few strands of this angel hair. And with the angel hair, it doesn't stick to the thread as well, so we're gonna use our waspy dubbing wax. So I'm gonna put just a little tiny bit on the thread. We're just gonna spin up another little dubbing rope, or dubbing noodle, whatever you want to call it. Just a real fine one, and that wax really helps the angel hair just adhere. I'm gonna give this a couple wraps. I like to build this up just a little bit more, just so that way it everything kind of tapers together into that bead before I whip finish it. We'll clean it up here in a minute, but next I'm just gonna go ahead and give it a I've turned whip finish. Cinch it down. And we're gonna cut our thread. Still think those tail fibers are just a little long, so I'm gonna come in here and trim those about. Yeah, that looks better. And so what I'll do is I just leave those little angel hair fibers just kind of, you know, straggly. It could look like legs or, you know, antennas. The last thing to do is just a little bit of head cement, and I'll use the same cement that I use for the body, and I'm just going to take and put a drop down in here behind that bead. We're just going to cure that, and that's it, guys. That is my variation of what I think a March brown nymph. It catches fish. I hope you enjoyed this little tie. I'd appreciate any comments or replies on how I can improve, things I could do better. But tie some of these up, they catch fish. This is Steve from Blackfly signing out. I hope everybody has a wonderful week, wherever you're at in the world, whatever time it is. Take care, guys.